And we are live. Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. I'll just get it out of the way right away. It feels so good to be back. I've been traveling. I've been gone. I've been busy as fuck. But it feels so nice to be back on a podcast. And we have so much to talk about. So many great games that happened over the weekend. Some excitement, but excited to be here with the fellas. It's your boy Hen. You can find me on Twitter at HenryWind or liking a bunch of tweets on Twitter as the Mecca of Banter. You can find me in either way. Let's check in with the fellas today. Let's start off with Nick. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Henry. I think my new nickname is 3-Point Hafey. I mean,
Sure.
St. Louis City getting 3 points, Chelsea getting 3 points, and of course the most important team, the Mecca of Banter,
The mob, bro.
getting 3 points again. So, I had a pretty spectacular weekend. I also know this is a footy podcast, but Lando Norris won another Grand Prix, so that makes me happy as well. Sorry to bring it up. But yeah, all the teams that I support won this weekend, so I'm very happy. Chelsea makes me excited to watch them again. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Hafey4. I'm also pumped to talk about a bunch of the games this weekend because I got to watch a lot. So
love that.
Happy to be here.
Welcome to the pod.
Yeah.
Andrew Hoover. Hello.
What's up, lads?
How are you doing?
How are we doing, boys?
How are we doing?
I'm great.
Wow.
I'm glad that I'm not going to have to close out this podcast by myself for the last 5 minutes. So
allegedly, we don't actually know.
Allegedly,
we don't know.
Re-listening to that back, I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm such an idiot." I just kept talking. No, glad to have you. Glad to have you back on. Glad to be here with the boys. It's always eventful. No matter who you're talking about. There were some eventful matches this week, so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to discuss. So moving away from the winners on the 3-point scale now to the moral winners of the weekend, Arsenal Football Club. Lucas Winkleman, how are you doing today?
In the rafters.
I'm doing well. Yeah, I think that, we talked about it last week, Hen, when you were on here with us. Just kidding. You hate us. But I talked about how, the beginning of this season for us was one of the harder starts that we've had in a long time as far as away fixtures versus home versus who we were playing, etc. So now that that's kind of out of the way and we have Leicester next weekend, pretty happy with how everything's gone so far despite injury and so on and so forth. I know we'll dive deeper into it, but super happy to just see you guys and get to talk about it.
I'm super excited to talk about that game. I think anytime you have anytime you have a big game like that, it's going to be the talk of the podcast. It's also the talk of the group chat.
It is not stopped.
Yeah. So for our listeners, maybe that are newer to the podcast, this podcast actually started as a group chat years ago. A bunch of guys that we played with and against in the St. Louis area all formed a group chat where we constantly talk shit about people's teams and anytime any of the big six teams play one another, but specifically over the last couple of seasons, City and Arsenal in this game gave us no shortage of content and gave us no shortage of texts that are still lingering at 6:30 on a Monday evening. So I'm excited to get into it. But before we can get into that, we got to talk St. Louis City. We won on the road. We won on the road, which is substantial because, we're not going to go without a win on the road for the rest of the season or for the entire season, I should say, which is huge. And San Jose is literally the worst team in our conference. So I think that we lose against them. It says some things. So right away, I want to say that coming off the first 15 minutes, we looked absolutely electric. It was the first 15-20 minutes of the game was some of the best footy I've seen St. Louis play all season long. Obviously, you get a quick goal, but I mean, we were suffocating San Jose. They could not get the ball out of their half. We were turning the ball over high, a lot of creative interplay. Up top, we look pretty dangerous for next year. I know that this year's kind of chalked, but after watching this game, does this give you any hope for what's to come?
Definitely has to. like we've seen the progression. These guys have come in. We've seen the progression, and we know it's not necessarily going to be hack. But like this is all really good experience for them to get in their legs, and all it does is build confidence going forward. It can only, in my mind, get better with a 100% coach and some new signings that Lutz has talked about. I think that is really positive. I think the biggest drawaway for me is that we closed out a game. Like they were, the goal that we gave up was soft, but that's a common thing that we've seen all year. But then they locked it down. Berkey was huge, obviously, but he makes that possible, and that's good for everyone involved. Like confidence, talking about closing out a game. They scored too early. I would have never estimated that we, win that game with 2 goals. Like it just doesn't. That's not been the trend of ours at all. So I think that was a huge point. Marcel Hartle's the man.
Got to see a different role out of him.
Yeah,
he played more central. He kind of played like an 8-10-ish kind of role. Obviously, Edward Leuven was out of the lineup, wasn't even on the bench, allegedly just for rotation purposes and energy levels, which, with only a couple games left in the season was a little surprising to me. But then when you take the last 10 games, he's played damn near 90 minutes of all of those games without any subs. And I think now that the season's a little bit out of reach, maybe warranted a little bit of a rest. Yeah. But Hartle in that 8 to 10 role was really cool to see. Durkin was not 100% coming into the game. 20 minutes into the game, he had to come out for a sub. And we got to see Akil Watts in the 6, which there was a couple of times where he looked fine. There was a couple of times that he looked super stretched. And I don't know if I would expect any different from a guy that's seen 95% of his minutes this year at a right or left back position to get thrown into a 6 and having to cover a lot of ground. So got to be happy with it.
Great first goal.
The first goal was awesome, man. Dude, it was the dummy by Alm, the run, the Klaus drawing guys out of position, the back post. Teutzer just continues to be the guy that is he doesn't always look the most athletic on the field. He doesn't always look graceful, but the guy bangs goals, bro. He's been great.
I think this team has now solidified it for me that we're going to be able to score goals. Yes. Obviously, early on when this team started, we were all nervous when it came to scoring goals. Mm-hmm. I just looked it up, and we have not been shut out since July 17th. So clearly, we score goals. Mm-hmm. And I will consistently bring this up, though, that on the other end of the ball, which is defense, which I think truly wins games and wins you trophies at the end of the day, we absolutely are atrocious at. Like, I think it is so bad, and I think we have to make signings in the offseason in the defensive part of the field. And I think this game was another glaring example of it. Like, San Jose should not be scoring against us, especially when we have Roman Berkey in net. He's had to stand on his head again. They probably should have had 2 goals against us.
Oh, for sure.
And we should not be doing that against San Jose. And yes, I know we're constantly having change up in our center back pairing, and it's hard to get fluidity. But like, at some point, we need to stop bleeding goals. And like, I know we win, and I'm being a little harsh, but like, I don't like when we should be shutting out teams and we don't. And this was a great example of us not doing so.
Was it a Yarrow Hebert center back pairing though?
It was. Yeah.
Like,
it was.
Dude, it's hard for me. I'm with you 100% because it's the number one problem. But good for them. Like we've had so many injuries in that position, and that it doesn't help your center back pairing, question, which is a valid point. Like, we don't know who those guys are going to be. For them having to come in and do the roles, they got exposed once or twice. But overall, okay.
Just another crazy stat that I was doing. The last time we got a shutout, guess when?
When?
July 3rd against San Jose.
Yeah. Well, that was at home, right?
I think so. 2-0.
Yeah. And they were
2-0. That's
they were really bad then. And they're still really bad.
Time we had a shutout.
I remember talking to you, Hen, about it. Like, when we saw them, we were like, dude, that was the worst team I've ever seen. Like, them in Chicago. God bless.
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that. I was literally watching that first half being like, The only other team that I can think that was this bad was Chicago. Seeing them, but I think statistically, I mean, I haven't read any bit of Twitter today. I know that Sunday night late there's a minute chance of playoffs happening, and it's out of our hands. Like, we have to win all of our games, and other teams have to like draw or drop points or whatever it is. But I think y'all alluded to it pretty well. Of like, we have to make some off-season moves. It is cool though to see that like the front half of the team is sorted. We got that covered. But Durkin went down with an injury, and our only backup was Akil Watts. Like, that is a position that has to get sorted. I don't know if injuries are going to happen as much as they did this year with center backs, but happened last year too, where we were, Parker was out for a little bit, Nilsson was out for a little bit. Like, I don't know. So at some point you would think that Michael Wenzel would see the field, but maybe he's just not it, and he's just not that good. But I don't know. Should we talk Prem? I think we should talk the English Premier League. We're going to start off with no banter, a surprise for me. This was a surprise for me. Chelsea genuinely demolishing West Ham. Nick, I want to give you your victory lap, bro.
Yeah, I want Hen. Like,
dude, I mean,
I know.
Well, let me get this out of the way. It has nothing to do with Chelsea. Chelsea took their opportunities. West Ham was horrible.
Yes, I was about to start off with that. Before I give any kudos to Chelsea in the way we're playing right now, West Ham was awful. It
was one of the worst showings I've ever seen from a Premier League team in my entire fandom.
I don't know about that.
Dude, they couldn't connect a pass. Like,
because Caicedo was clogging up the midfield like none other.
Well, I mean, sorry, I should take that back. They did connect some passes. There was, every single person in their starting 11 at least connected one pass. So,
unlike
they had that. But I mean, I was shocked. So, Nikki, take it away, brother. Like, how are you feeling watching that game?
I feel great. And to be fair, I am at that point where I don't want to continue feeling this good because I'm nervous for anything that happens in the roller coaster that is Chelsea fandom. Like,
welcome.
I'm on a high right now that is really high, and I don't want to get off of it. I thoroughly enjoy the weekends and waking up. It was a 6:30 game, and I was so pumped to get up and wake up an hour early to see the starting lineup. The starting lineup came out. I was very happy. Something that I think is going unnoticed and hasn't really been talked about on our podcast that much is I don't want to get his name wrong because I'll mess it up. It's Adebayor. It's Tolson Adebayor. He's the center back who started for us with Colwill. I think he's so quality, and I think we found a great partnership if Fofana doesn't pan out. Because I think he is very good. He's so calm on the ball, and he's kind of exactly what we need to offset Colwill, and I'm very happy with his performance. Also, I will admit when I talk a lot of shit, and I've talked a lot of shit on this man, but Nico Jackson actually looked like a competent striker. Both of his finishes were great finishes, and I was thoroughly impressed by them. His first goal where he megs the keeper, that's literally the only place he can score. And he found it. And then his second goal with the outside of the foot was beautiful from a ball from Caicedo, which was a beautiful ball. And then he set up Cole Palmer for the last one on a beautiful assist. So he definitely had a good game. I like
Jackson.
Yeah, I love that that's how he thinks it's pronounced, but hey, whatever.
Brother, he's an enigma. That guy is such a fool, bro. Such a fool.
Very interesting. I will not hate on him anymore, though, because if he keeps scoring goals for my club, I'll back off. The other person I wanted to bring up, and I don't know if Henry likes me talking about it, but Sancho is such a delight for us right now. I think he is playing.
Brother, you can talk about it all you want. I don't agree with you at all.
He's been watching Raheem Sterling.
Yeah, I don't agree with you.
I switch up
more than the entire United club. That's insane. He's been playing so well for us. I'm super excited for him. He seems happy. Every time in an interview and anytime someone talks about it, they say he's fitting perfectly well with the club. They're not having any problems, and whatever happening was at United was happening at United.
This is one of the few times we've heard of a player going to Chelsea and doing better than their own club. Normally, it's the other way around. As soon as they leave, they turn into a good baller.
People go to Chelsea and go to other clubs and do way worse.
Pretty small sample size.
Not have passes for entire games. Like, it's pretty embarrassing.
I'm really doubling down on that one.
Fucking.
It's a crazy statistic.
That is a statistic. But keep going. But to be fair, I want to hear from you guys. Like, I could be very biased because I'm on that high, but I thoroughly enjoy watching us play right now. Our buildup is quality. I think we're going to die by our defense, and hopefully they can stand up and get some more shutouts. It was funny. The whole time our Chelsea group message was texting, they were talking about how nice it was to see us going towards goal. And the whole time I was saying, I want a shutout. I don't care how many goals we score. We could win 1-0. I just wanted a shutout. Because I think, once again, like I said, when we were talking about City, like, defense is very important, and we needed that shutout.
The horse drawing, have you seen it's like a really, really well done illustrated horse, and then the back half of the horse is just like a child drew it. It's kind of what I think about when I think of Chelsea, but...
You and me both. I think that West Ham, like, you guys were obviously the better team, but I think that because of the way that West Ham played, I feel like it could have been one of those scenarios that West Ham lost the game more than you guys won it. I also, like, with how bad they played, like, Nico Jackson probably should have had 3 or 4 goals. It's
okay. Also, his 2 goals were like no one from Arsenal's creating those, but it's okay.
Okay. Man, the hatred is just
yeah, dude. Okay. It is lively.
I'm not talking shit. Like you guys are definitely way more enjoyable to watch than in previous. Than
4 goals.
There's an identity, maybe now.
Yeah,
like, that's not something that we've seen a ton of. So it's nice to see that come out, even if it is against a shit, side for that game.
Exactly.
Yeah. And on that aspect, one thing that I do like is when the team has been talking about Maresca and, like, his identity and everything, everyone's been saying, like, it's a clear picture. We have exactly what we know exactly what he wants, and, like, there's no confusion, and it's full transparency, and that always makes me happy. I also will say, us bringing on Neto, João Felix, and Nkunku in the 60th.
It's a cool thing to see. Yeah. Like, I mean, they're hard. They're sick.
Thank you. Anytime.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. I know, and once again, Maresca had an interview recently talking about this. I'm nervous for playing time with them because obviously they want more. Mm-hmm. And if they continue to see the bench and only come on the 60th minute, I would understand why they'd be frustrated as well. Apparently, Enzo has had conversations with them already about all of it. But as a competitor, you're still going to want to play. Totally. So I'm hoping that they can hang on till next year to where we're possibly in the Champions League and we're possibly in other competitions that matter so they can get more playing time in those areas. Obviously, we have the Conference League, which is still very important because I think we can win that. But it's not as much experience as we want in the top competitions.
Big match against Gent coming up.
Yeah,
João Felix.
Yeah, bro.
Hey, that'll be your test. We'll
we'll circle back after that.
I'm very nervous for the Brighton.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good match, I think.
Yeah.
Hoove. Let's move over to the Tottenham Hotspurs in the North London area of England. You won 3-1. How you feeling?
It's never easy. That's for sure. I had a buddy I hung out with later in the day. It was like, yeah, at least you smacked the shit out of Brentford today. I was like, brother, you did not watch that game. We did not smack the shit out of Brentford. It was terrifying at first. You let in a goal in 24 seconds. Like, I was brushing my teeth. I had it up on my phone. I didn't even get to my couch yet. And I was like, that's hilarious. That was so on brand. It was ridiculous. They came back. Obviously, it was a pretty solid fight, solid turnaround at least. Quick goal for Solanke to score. That's a poacher striker's goal, first for the club. Like, huge for the confidence. That's big for him. At any point he was just waiting on it. So that's nice. Brennan Johnson, $60 million a drain, scores again. He's been taking some abuse on social media, I guess. Maybe bullying works. I don't know. I'm not part of that crowd, but you know, end of the day, he's a.
Do not promote that on the Mecca of Banter. Let us be clear for a second.
No. I'm not that crowd. You're not.
Rockwood School District has entered the chat. You
Yeah,
know?
I was laughing. That's why.
You're not catching my burner or my account or anyone talking trash on players that they're humans. That's how this goes. He's a kid, and just taking him under his wing and like been a full blown dad to him. It feels like, which is nice. That's cool. But it was tight from the 28th minute when BJ scored to when Matters finally tucked one in the 85th. Great finish. Sonny had 2 assists. You know, Brennan Johnson, Sonny, and dude, Kulusevski was good. It was the front half was great. Vicario scares the shit out of me. Like I'm raising questions of my own about my man. I think he's again one of those guys that is a great shot stopper in front of net in his position. He's an incredible shot stopper. He is terrible on corners. Absolutely can't control his box on corners. Most set pieces in general. He has an inability to come out.
You just stand in front of him and he's scared.
Yeah, dude. And then his decision making sometimes with the ball is insane. He touched that ball out of the box. I'm 100%. If you saw the highlights, I am not going to sugarcoat that and try to defend it. That's a red card, and he should have been off the pitch. I saw it go down, and I texted Dan Hornsey, and I was like, no, please, God, no, he's done. This is it. Now, I think it was a 1-1 at that point. So, like, dude.
Big turnaround.
It was never easy. They missed that call for sure.
We were talking him up on this pod.
For a while, there were shouts in Italy for him to start over Donnarumma. Like, people were calling for that for a little bit. And, like, I don't know if I've ever been that high, but I thought he was a great piece of business from Empoli. Paid, like, what, $13 million? He's been a good keeper. I hope he just cools it a little bit. They're all kind of like, there's always a screw loose in keepers. Like, that's universal, too. That's hockey. That's lacrosse. That's keepers.
You have to be psycho.
Have to be a little bit psycho. I just don't think he can keep cool all the time. So it's, 3 points is 3 points. You take what you get in front of you. I wouldn't say that I'm like absolutely buzzing and ready to roll onto, whoever we play next. We scraped out 2 goals in 5 minutes against on Wednesday to win. So like, I see where you're at because I've been there, Hafey. That mood like last year when we first started, I was buzzing pretty hard. And then I'm the established Tottenham fan who is like already self-aware and like, nope, it's gonna be terrible again next week. I know it. I don't think that. I think it's just stick with the plan. You know what the tactics are. There was a little bit of flexibility. Matters played more out on the left than he did in the last few games, and Sonny kind of floated centrally. Almost like he was a playmaking 10, but Sonny was also a 10. It was an interesting little hybrid. He played a little bit deeper, but it worked, and that's what built up the quick counterattack for Sonny to feed him on that back left side. So Ange has flexibility. I think while it's not much, I do think there is some flexibility. I think you can probably say, he did a little bit of the same with Kulusevski earlier in the year. But, 3 points, roll on. We got a Europa Cup this week. Terrified. Those games are hard, brother. The Europa League is not easy. And when you play your B team, as such clubs do, sometimes you don't look good. So, we shall see.
I love the confidence in you,
dude. It's
great over there as he sips his wine.
It's built into me. Like I genuinely think none of my teams will ever win anything in my lifetime. So that's like that's the lowest point you could ever get to.
Can we quote that? I just want to get that quoted.
One of these days, maybe, dude. Give me the Mickey Mouse Cup. I would celebrate like you've never seen with a Mickey Mouse
I
cup.
think I truly the day Spurs win a title, I think Hoove would go on a month bender.
I'd like to go to London. I don't even care what we win, brother. Conference League.
If it's under Big Angie's gonna get just a giant back tat of Angie's face.
And
I think he's gonna tat for sure.
Dude,
with the tramp stamp
just,
of mate.
mate. Yeah,
Mate.
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's what he said. He's like, this job is extremely attractive. And he's like, especially to someone like me. He's like, could you imagine if I won anything here? He's like,
You're a
legend.
god.
He said
You're
this
a
in the
god.
media. He's like, I'm solidified as, one of the best they've ever had. Like, immediate status. That is a pretty attractive. And for a guy with his reputation too, like, he didn't come from City. He didn't come from PSG. My man came from Celtic and was in Japan before that. And he's won something everywhere. He'll tell you, but like that, they'd build the statue the next day.
Yeah, but you got 20 more years, so you're good.
I don't know I hope not 20, but could be. Who knows?
Could be anything.
Does St. Louis City win the MLS Cup before Tottenham wins the league?
Yes.
Yes.
100%, bro.
Yeah, I think so.
Should have saved that for the factor.
That could happen next year.
Yeah, actually, good. You're right. We're gonna win the
lot. Big facts. We're huge.
Yeah.
Should we talk about everyone's favorite team? United.
Brother.
Dude, 0-0 against Palace.
Palace is a hard team.
Hard team to beat. What a weird game. The first half genuinely was some of the best football I've seen us play in a long time. Talk about, when we talked about the St. Louis City game, we talked about how San Jose couldn't even get it out of their half. Genuinely, the entire first half, Palace could not work it out of their half. Like, there was so many times where Palace just kicked the ball out of bounds. They tried to play it long, couldn't connect. We were dominating. We hit the crossbar twice on the same play. We had some great chances. We had an incredible link up. It just didn't come together. A little bit into the second half, we decided to take off Xerxes, which kind of obliterated any bit of hold up play that we had, link up play, and we took off Diallo on the right hand side. We're forcing Rashford to get into the team. And he's not a striker. Like, he's not a hold up striker. He's a get in behind. So when there's a team with a low block, how many times have we talked about this? That is not Rashford's game. Like, unless Xerxes was carrying a massive injury, you got to keep him on the field. Like, you got to keep him on there to stretch the teams. And you even bring in Højlund, and Højlund's a really different striker than what Xerxes is. I kind of was hoping, I know that this might sound ridiculous, I was kind of hoping that we would take off Bruno, because Bruno, I don't think, played very well at all. He drifted in and out of the game the entire time.
He gave the ball away 47 times.
I was just going to say that. He gave away the ball almost every time he touched it. Mount just came back from an injury, so he was just on the bench for the first time. But, with his injury record, he does that, where he comes back and he plays for one game, and then in the next training session, he gets injured for a month. So I understand Ten Hag not wanting to play him, but I thought there was a world that he was going to sub Bruno, move Xerxes back to the 10 and Højlund up top. I thought that's what was going to happen, but, I was wrong once again. It was disappointing. Huh?
So you just don't know ball, apparently, Eric Ten Hag.
Apparently, I just don't know ball, which
has this different vision that you don't see.
Yeah, and thank God we have people in the Mecca of Banter group chat that show me the way of how football is supposed to be played, because I'd be lost without it, So, it almost felt like we were just edging the entire game. We were just waiting for that moment of us just to break through.
What
an
analogy!
Yeah, bro. That was what the entire game felt like. It just never felt like it was going to happen. And then, bro, if Dobes was sitting here on this podcast, we would be on different sides of this argument. What the fuck is Lisandro Martinez doing at the top of the box?
Dude.
Jumping in with 2 feet into that tackle? Okay, so I'm all for playing the game hard. You got to go into tackles. You never... and the thing is he exaggerated it so much. He brought his knees to his chest and stamped down. And to be fair, didn't even remotely touch the guy. Like, he got the ball, it was before the ball, but in today's game, you don't do that. Like, you just don't do that. And so I was like, man, got a yellow.
The same tackle in on Sunday, so like I think it just translates.
Dobes did, you said?
Yeah.
Dobes is blowing up the group chat after Martinez's tackle, being like, the game's gone soft. How is that a yellow?
Dude,
I'm like,
if he
it's a
touches
yellow.
him at all,
It's a red with
He's gone.
massive suspension.
I love a good tackle, and I still think 2-footed tackles should be in the game. But Henry said it best: when you leave your feet like that,
brother, his knees were up to his chest.
That's
like,
when it's like, brother, you're asking.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason that you should be doing that whatsoever. Like, it doesn't help you in your 2-footed tackle.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you an advantage.
No.
It doesn't do anything except, like, stamp your dominance on that play.
If you don't leave the ground, there's a world where you cannot really leave the ground on a 2-footed tackle, and it's super effective in a 50-50, and you need the ball to go your way. That's when you do it. That was insane.
that was bonkers to me.
He was going in to murder that man. And for Dobes to be like, never even a foul, I was like, brother.
I mean, Dobes puts that tackle in every week, so that's why.
Yeah.
Unreal.
There's every once in a while where there's like a situation that happens in a game where like Dobes will say something to me, like, you know, because we're both United fans, and I'm like, come on. You know, like, come on,
listening to the podcast right now.
Yeah, like, come on. But you know, I one of the really bright spots that I feel like has gone a little bit underloved so far this season. Mazraoui's been awesome. In every game that he's played, he has looked like he belongs there. He belongs in the Prem. He's so confident and calm with the ball. I'm loving watching his game. I think that he's just going to continue to get better and better. And what's a little bit different about him than some of our other guys that we're pretty high on at the moment is he's like not, 20 years old. Like, he's 26. He's like entering his prime as a right back. So he has Champions League experience. He was obviously with Bayern last year, he was with Ajax before that. So him and De Ligt have just formed this really great partnership.
I was about to say, I don't know if you brought him up on the last pod because I was not here, but I think De Ligt's your guys' signing of the season.
Yeah, he's great.
So
he's been playing really great.
I also think he's commanding your back line well. Like, he went into like the leadership role immediately and didn't like hesitate or like ask. Like, he just went straight in and was commanding that back line. And obviously, as a center back myself, like, that's immediately what you want to see. So he's impressed the shit out of me in the last 2 games. I know.
Me too.
Did you guys have back-to-back shutouts, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So
nothing wrong with that. We'll take it.
He's getting the job done on his end.
What I can't understand,
Onana had a save, bro. God bless.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that was cool.
There were a couple really good goal scoring opportunities for Palace in the second half. Like, you both could have scored goals. Like,
the double save that Onana had was great because I think internally in the Manchester United fan base, a lot of people watched Arsenal's Champions League game when Raya had that massive double save off the penalty. And there's a lot of people that were like, I just don't think Onana can do that. Like, I don't think that he's quick enough to do that. I don't think that he's like all these things. And literally the next game, he has an unbelievable double save. And I think like Onana, we talk about it a lot with forwards that they're confidence players. Onana is that. Like, when he's confident, he's the biggest guy in the room. And when he's not confident, i.e. the Champions League last year, he can be really mistake prone. So I was excited to see that. But this is the shit, man, that we come away 0-0 in this game. And it's not like Palace is a horrible team, but like, these are the games you have to win. You absolutely have to win. And what I can't understand is why Ugarte is not starting that game. He's our signing of the summer, allegedly. He's the guy who's coming in to bring stability into the midfield. We just came off of a 7-0 game. It's not like he was overtired. That to me is a nailed on starting game, and we don't start him. It almost makes me even nervous for the Tottenham game this weekend. Like, is he going to start him there, or is he going to do like a Casemiro Menu? Like, what's the point of having Ugarte there and spending 3 months to get him if we're not even going to play it? So, we didn't lose, which is something, but fully expected to win that game. And we'll see. Spurs are going to be a really tough challenge. What I will say is I expect this game to be pretty fun. It's going to be the battle of the high lines, which means goals. So it's going to be a really fun game to watch. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude the Mecca of Banter podcast. And what we'll shift into now is the Mecca of Hugs and Kisses podcast, where we all rally around Arsenal for the inequity that was brought to them this weekend through the Arsenal City game. I just can't believe it, that they just keep doing this to Arteta. He's just such a smart manager, and he just brings so much to the club, and the world just wants to see him fail, man. The world wants to see him fail. So I stand in solidarity with my brothers on the Mecca of Hugs and Kisses podcast, and with that, we transition into a 2-2 game between Arsenal in the lying, cheating, stealing Manchester City.
Which I mean, to be fair, 115 allegations. I'm going to come in on that part. They may be lying and cheating and stealing to a certain degree, but
the show.
The game's
but in all seriousness, this was the game of the weekend. It was the game that everyone is looking forward to, whether you're a fan of those clubs or you're not. It was by far and away the game that we were all looking forward to. Nick, do you want to weigh in at all about the referee choice for this game before we turn it over to Lucas? Any surprises with who was refereeing this game?
I was shocked it wasn't Anthony Taylor. Like, very
exactly. Like, but instead of Anthony Taylor, it was
a great second choice.
It was the referee that Manchester City paid $20,000 to referee a charity game. So, like, it is what it is. But
Michael Oliver is becoming to Arsenal what Anthony Taylor is to Chelsea.
It's beautiful. It's great. The world's against us, man. The world's against us. Hanging in the rafters. Lucas, 2-2. To give you your flowers first, you battled back. You held out being 10 men for the majority of the game. That is not an easy task against Manchester City. That's pretty much where the end of the flowers is. But what were your thoughts on the game? Obviously, you have biased thoughts on the game, but share with us.
Yours weren't biased at all, Henry.
No, I'm just speaking factos, bro.
Damn.
Factos.
First of all, I want to acknowledge that I wasn't contributing to the Mecca of Hugs and Kisses messages via our group text. As you know, I'm one of the most realist Arsenal fans there is, but nonetheless, give me shit. Not what I was hoping for, but like you said, going down 1-0 at the Etihad and battling back in the first half without our captain to take the lead, pressing in the right moments, playing in not nearly as low of a block as we were forced to in the second half. It was really fun watching the City players get as frustrated as they were, even after we went down to 10 men. I don't think anybody on this pod right now is a fan of City at all. So seeing their guys get frustrated, especially Kyle Walker, and seeing the banter that our center backs were giving Haaland was fun to watch. Comments?
It's just funny.
That was good. I love
it's hilarious. You want box office stuff to happen in these games, and it does.
For all the woke football we've had recently, those guys being after it to each other is the opposite. I love that.
So fun. Yeah,
I eat that.
My favorite part of the entire game was Haaland throwing the ball.
Yeah,
that was my
hilarious.
That was my favorite part of the entire game.
Yeah. God, I wish he wouldn't have had his shirt over his head, because I would have been okay with Gabby taking a red card and just uppercutting him and breaking his two front teeth.
Wouldn't have. He just would have headbutted him.
I don't know, dude.
I
think if anybody on our team has it in him, it's probably him or Thomas Partey.
Kyle Walker's defending attempt on that corner too, where he's just poking him, bro, and then just gets torched.
Trying to be Ben White.
We're getting to the point where we're seeing the decline of Kyle Walker, and I don't want to act like he's a horrible player. player. I mean, he has been the best right back in the Premier League for 8 years.
Yeah.
And he's just at it where, we saw mistakes in the Euros that were pretty costly. And we saw mistakes for Manchester City towards the end of the season last year. And it's just what's happening. It's just what it is.
He's a player who's really reliant on his speed to fix his mistakes.
Yeah.
And his speed, I'm not saying his speed's like fully declining, but like he's not getting up to top speed as much as
other guys are getting faster. It's just like the progression of the level of the game, like over the years.
Amplified because he can't like for instance, that exact corner, I guarantee you, old Kyle Walker's catching back up to Gabby and maybe trying to get ahead on it. But like
he does like, and what's weird is like I feel like so many teams have a right back or a left back that falls asleep at the back post. Like it's just like a trait.
It's a rite of passage to be a right back. You have to do that.
I feel like he's been caught out a lot that way. But Lucas, I want to get your thoughts on the red card. So this is the second time this season that you all have been issued. Second time being like league leading in one thing, which is red cards. So you're the league leaders in red cards, and it's the second time that this has happened on a second yellow for kicking the ball away. Because I think that's what they came out with after the game, that it wasn't the foul, it was the kicking the ball away. That was the yellow,
launching it into the stadium,
into Rosette, just away. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, deserved. First of all, gonna get that out.
Yeah, Lucas.
What do you mean?
We didn't expect you to say that. I think that
no, but
however,
there's a caveat. He deserved it for the foul more than the kicking of the ball. In my opinion,
cannonballing into the back of Silva.
Yeah, so I watched this back several times, and just to make sure I saw it correctly, but I do think he, like, after Oliver wrote in his little notebook, in his little diary, that he gave him the red card or the second yellow for kicking the ball. I thought he deserved it for jumping onto Bernardo Silva's back, not even really looking like he was making a play for the ball. My thing is, and I know that the majority of you have talked about it with your respective teams, and it's something that we collectively as a group have talked about, is consistency when it comes to giving cards. So I'm not going to sit here and say that he didn't deserve the second yellow. It was stupid of him to do on all fronts. I also know that everybody was kind of heated. Was super heated, during that whole game. And like one of the few texts that I made to the group, keeping my thoughts to myself outside of this over the weekend, was that this was a more fun sort of rivalry, if you would call it that, to watch than Spurs Arsenal.
Congrats.
Thank you. But consistency in the fact that Michael Oliver refed our game with Manchester City last year. Kovacic had 2 studs-up tackles and didn't get a second yellow card for the second studs-up tackle because after the game, Michael Oliver said that he didn't want to ruin the game by giving him a second yellow and bringing them down to 10 men. So if he's not going to give Kovacic a second yellow last year for, in my opinion, a worse offense than either Trossard jumping into Silva or kicking the ball away, what was the difference in this game between the decision-making process of giving Trossard a second yellow or not? And maybe it was the fact that it was probably 2 instances right back to back, but regardless, that changes the game in the 1 minute past.
Well, I think the difference is clear. The difference is that the Premier League came out with literally like their top agenda item this year was cracking down on guys kicking the ball away. And so we've seen yellow cards be given the entire season, including not too long ago when your guy Declan Rice did the same thing.
And that one, in my opinion, was way less than Trossard's.
And like
I could still be pissed about.
That's the thing. Like that's what I don't understand. Of like you genuinely, you can't be going back to last year saying that like, well, what's the difference? The difference is the whole fucking refereeing thing where they said like this is what you have to do.
I get that, but that's beyond that. Michael Oliver went and reviewed what Haaland did to Gabby after they scored our second goal. Granted, I know that like they pretty much called the game right after that, but like, how do you not even get a first yellow for like, that's taunting
You can't give a
101.
yellow. It's either a red or it's nothing.
After
a VAR check.
In
Really?
I think
Mhm.
there's a world where like that could have been a red. It was a direct, deliberate action towards another player. If you're gonna go letter of the law, I'm not gonna defend
that's true.
Arsenal here because I think they're delusional on a lot of things, but it is the consistency problem. Like, he wasn't giving yellows much in the first half. He gave a couple ticky tack ones going into the second half. Like, it wasn't fluid at all. But you're definitely right. I think Hen is on the kicking away thing, and like, I think Trossard was just dumb on that one. Like,
me too.
It won't happen again. Like, you guys will not do that again this year, in my opinion, because you've seen.
Dude, I said that after Declan Rice.
It just sucks that it has to happen twice. I don't think
that's the case, because I think Arteta plays the victim card and literally hugged the man as he was walking off after getting a red. If someone gets a red for kicking the ball away and I'm the coach,
I'm
not fucking hugging them.
Yeah.
You see me? In a game against Manchester City, I'm fucking reaming him and going, "You're an idiot." But no, Arteta hugs him and he's going to go in the press and say, "The ref sucks, yada, yada, yada." And then next game, they'll kick the ball away and they'll get another yellow. And it'll just keep going. Play victim again.
Well, if you want your coach not to defend your players, I guarantee you they had quite a conversation, if not several, after the game. But here's the problem with you, Nick, is you.
Let's fucking go, Lucas. Let's go.
You fucking dog on him for running down the sidelines, like either overreacting to goals that we score or yelling at the refs bullshit. Or you're just lucky I can't go back and clip shit. But
I would love to see
the majority, if not all of you, have talked shit on Arteta for his antics on the sideline. Yes.
Present.
Okay.
Present.
Yep.
So the one time he doesn't, it's a problem.
It is an antic. He goes
snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. Pick a fucking side.
He makes an antic to show to everyone.
Good God.
Player.
You guys beat West Ham, who look like they should be in 20th place.
My club. Stop trying to bring it in. I'm talking about your club and Arteta being a little bitch. That's all it was.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a whittle baby bitch.
Pick a side. Either he needs to be more emotional, less emotional.
I'm on the same side every single time. The man needs to stop being the victim and actually grow a pair of nuts and take accountability for things that are happening in his club.
As long he can do that without doing it when every camera in the stadium is on him.
Blame the refs. Have fun with it.
As long as we're throwing out our problems with people, can I share mine?
Didn't we already talk about your game?
We're not talking about my club. We're not talking about my club. Lucas, you're just the honorary member of this of this group chat and of this podcast. You have to bear the weight of the Arsenal fandom, and I imagine that's heavy sometimes. The Arsenal fan base is the most deluded fan base in the fucking world. It is absolutely insane.
That's a crazy generalization, though.
That's fair. The tweets I've seen, the compilations, the podcast titles that I've seen from Arsenal podcasts, the absolute delusion that Arsenal has done anything relevant in the last however many years, that they are the best club in the entire of the world. Like, it is
God's gift
insane
to
me.
Actually, one of our friends said, young John Paul, God's gift to football. I did hear that.
Unbelievable. And but to Nick's point, at every single time that something doesn't go your way, the opportunity to be resilient and just take it, or the opportunity to shift blame or make an excuse or to blame whatever, as a whole, the Arsenal fan base continuously chooses the second. And that might be a little bit of what social media is for, and, rallying the troops and whatever, but it's just fucking gross. I'm so sick of seeing it. And the thing is there comes a time, genuinely, on Sunday after the game, we have the Mecca of Banter Twitter that we all have access to. And then I have my own Twitter, which only I have access to. On the Mecca of Banter Twitter, we have stuff from all of our teams. We have Chelsea stuff, we have Arsenal stuff, we have Tottenham stuff, all that stuff. I had to switch accounts that I was on because I was so sick of seeing the Arsenal fanboys just wanking each other off in sadness. It was ridiculous. So your hand was up, Lucas. Go. Share what you need to share.
I just want to say titles are clickbait, and we have done that several times on this podcast.
Yeah, facts.
And I agree with what you said about that's the place for social media, is people just doing whatever they want for clicks. The majority of what I try and talk about on here is
which you
facts.
do a great job at.
Yeah, we're so proud of you, Lucas.
Suck it, Nick.
No, be honest.
Oh yeah, Nick, get fucked.
Yeah, go ahead and no, I get it. I think that every fan base has their group, and if I cared to follow enough of the people within each of your fan bases that tweet probably very similar things, I'm sure I would have receipts to speak to on all of your behalfs. But I'd prefer to see more and watch more about my club than I do paying attention to y'all's. So
Your club has a huge Twitter presence too. To be fair, like I think we all have really like our clubs individually have those fan bases for sure. I see.
Yeah, I feel like it is a weird amount of like very popular individual people.
Yeah.
Who are Arsenal fan like Twitter accounts, not like celebrities, but essentially Twitter celebrities. I do feel like I see a lot of that.
So many.
Yeah, but nonetheless, as I said at the beginning of the red card conversation, he deserved it. Bottom line, wasn't making excuses for any reason for him not to. My only plead is that, if cards are going to be given for one thing and it's going to change the course of the game, and then you're not going to call it for other things that were also probably deserving, that just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But if I was on the other side of it, I'd probably be talking differently and whatever, but it is what it is. I think on the bright side, I am really proud of the way that we came back in the first half prior to the red card. I thought that when we did have chances and couldn't just clear it in the second half, but the majority of this occurring in the first half was that we were hooking balls out wide to Martinelli and Saka a decent amount, especially Martinelli. I thought that, we talked about Walker earlier. I thought that matchup was great for him on that left wing. I thought Partey played very well. That was probably one of the better games I've seen all around for him in an Arsenal jersey. Again, taking the second half kind of out of it, but most final third passes on our team, most accurate passes, apart from some defensive stats that he led our team in as well. So I thought he played well. What a first goal by... Yes, sir.
Oh, no, you can keep it. I was raising my hand to say that I wanted to add something after you're done.
Okay.
Look how polite we're being.
It's changed. The tune has changed here,
dude. I mean,
for your YouTube watchers,
we just have levels at this podcast. Sometimes we're really intense, and sometimes we're really respectful. There's just levels to this game.
We're back to the Mecca of hugs and kisses for a second.
That's it's always been.
Yeah. What a first goal for the club from Calafiori. That was so sick, in my opinion.
It was sick, but I think it's kind of wankish from Michael Oliver to call Kyle Walker over to him, then not allow him to get back into position.
The thing is, Nick, it just doesn't it doesn't fit into the storyline. You know what I'm saying? So like,
I'm just saying though, like he was bad both ways. Like, but I don't think it was all towards City.
It just doesn't fit into the agenda. So it's a mute point.
There's only one of us on here that has an agenda.
Can we hear your thoughts on the statistic that we've been referencing throughout this entire podcast, which is Kai Havertz and Jurrien Timber become the first and second players ever to play a whole game without completing a single pass. Jurrien Timber didn't play all 90 minutes. Kai Havertz didn't complete a single pass. It's the first time that's ever happened. How?
Is it
the
ever?
Fuck does that ever? That's the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
0 completed passes, bro.
Wild stats. Yeah.
Do the kickoff.
Exactly. The second half makes sense. Given how we were forced to defend, we brought on Ben White and had to play basically a 5-4-0.
Brother, if he is the lone striker now, it makes more sense for him to have more passes because he is the only outlet for them.
Nick, can I finish? Jesus, dude.
Okay, I'll. You sorry? Calling me when I raise my hand. I'll just shut up at all times.
You already talked. We already talked about Chelsea.
Let me have my moment.
But we brought on Ben White. Had to shift to basically a 5-4-0. The only time that we touched the ball in the second half, a lot of the time, was to make clearances. So that's not going to count as a pass, obviously. So I don't remember any specific moments in the second half when he touched the ball, but if he did, it was most likely a clearance because he was probably the farthest man forward. But the first half doesn't make any sense to me, especially when we, after they scored in the 9th minute, when we came back in the way that we did, it doesn't make sense, but it also does a little bit that he wasn't touching the ball in a space where he could pass it off, was because we were going out wide the majority of the time in the first half when we were building up forward. So like I said earlier, we were swinging a lot of balls out wide to Martinelli and Saka to run down the wing, combine with the other midfielder on that side, Declan Rice or Trossard, and then we were swinging it in. So it wasn't a lot of against City, it wasn't a lot of play through the middle, Kai Havertz hold up ball, lay it off to somebody else, shoot, whatever. Timber, I don't know. I don't have any, sort of background as to why that happened, but to think about why Kai couldn't have, that's really the only piece that I would be able to speak to, is just the way that we were attacking them wasn't.
I think that's ridiculous.
It is a ridiculous stat, for sure, 100%. But we were swinging the ball out wide a lot. We weren't, playing him as a hold-up man. So the times that he was getting the ball in the middle, it was probably a shot attempt versus laying it off for somebody else.
I haven't said a word. I think I hate Arsenal the most, and you guys have been torching him. So, so it's time for me to get my lick in.
Get in!
Yeah. Not for real. I do think I've cooled on my opinion, but the last 3 games, I sent this into the group earlier today, but it was all below a 0.8, 0.7 XG in the last 3 games for Arsenal against City. There's been cases of City also not doing a lot against Arsenal. I think it's the number one game where neither team wants to lose. And it's almost to a certain degree, both teams set out that way. I think Man City less so. But as soon as that red card happened, I texted Hen and Dobes and was like, we're about to watch the single worst half of football we've ever seen. It was already kind of the plan. And I get it. When you play maybe tactically and personnel-wise superior teams, you sit in a little bit. That you adjust tactically. I get that. There was no scenario where you guys should have been playing a high line like Ange. With down a man. Those types of things I get. You can sit in. Okay. It was so unbelievably boring. And obviously your defenders are getting hyped for clearances, and Raya's catching the ball and they're fucking getting after that. I get it. You've worked for that long. You're hoping for the best, but this isn't new for Arsenal. I don't think that they go toe to toe with City a lot. It's never been an all out attacking offensive. It's just been so overthought from a defensive structure point of view and a tactics point of view. And I think Pep's guilty of it too, but I think Arteta's worse. It was a classic. No, I don't think it was a classic. This is a big match, and we all wanted to watch it. But every single time, at least the last 4 or 5 times that they have played, it's just been kind of a snooze fest. So, I'm not going to sit here and dog, terrorism football, because I've seen it. I had Mourinho and Conte within the 2 years of each other, brother. I get it. But, it's getting less and less fun. And I think for a while there, Arsenal was super fun to watch. We said this last year, beginning of the year. It was attacking football, and they had such great, passing combinations and style. And now it's just smash grab, throwing up to Martinelli, play him off of Havertz, hope there's a run in. It's just gotten less fluid for me. Yeah, and it was boring. I knew it was going to be. It almost always is. So do better. That's all I got.
Nikki,
one thing that we haven't talked about that I really want to point at, and I just looked it up to fact check to see if this was correct, and I feel awful. Rodri's injury, when I saw it,
brother,
I immediately knew it was an ACL, and I just looked it up, and it was confirmed. It was a torn ACL, and it's season ending for him.
What makes it worse is literally like 5 days ago, he was in the media talking about how these guys play too many games and how like the guys are going to get hurt and it's too much to ask of the athletes, and then he immediately gets injured.
The moment I saw the slow-mo and the moment I saw him immediately grab for the back of his knee, I knew exactly what had happened, and I felt so awful. And we didn't even talk about it, but like not even having him and probably not having him for the rest of the season is going to drastically impact City.
Yeah. Totally. We'll see who they sign. And that was crazy.
Gundogan, crazy good signing for them now.
Yeah. But I mean, like, Kovacic is going to play a lot, and they'll sign someone in January. You know, we'll see. Also, it's storming in St. Louis right now. I just had a lightning strike outside my house, and I saw the same lightning in Hoover's window, which is kind of crazy. Because we live a couple miles. Yeah, you know, whatever. A couple other quick headlines from international football. Leverkusen doing Leverkusen things, scoring again in the 90+3 to secure the bag. They just are such a great team to watch. They have the monkey off their back of going undefeated. Like, they already lost a game this season, so like no worries on that. Lamine Yamal is him.
Barcelona in general is just scoring a shit ton of goals right now, and like Yamal is balling.
Dude,
he is so insane. We're watching greatness, I think, be made.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. We can talk about.
I might ride the wave.
He's just different. Like, the thing is, he's such a different player than like Mbappe or Holland or whatever.
The fact
like
that he's 16 blows my fucking.
I think he just turned 17.
And he's not overly reliant on. Yeah, he's not overly reliant on pace. He's not any of that. Like, he sees the game. He makes it happen.
He's mature in areas he shouldn't be.
Yeah, totally. And last but certainly not least, Christian Pulisic, take a fucking bow, brother. You're just awesome. You're proving again why you're awesome. We're getting throwbacks to pandemic Pulisic in Milan right now, and there's nothing more that we want for the guy than for him to be performing on the biggest stage. And you know, when he was leaving Chelsea, I was a little bit nervous of where he was going to go because when you leave the Premier League, there's only a few teams in the world that you can go to that are of that level of notoriety, and AC Milan just happens to be one of them. You know, so he's proven it. He's putting the team on his back when he needs to, and we're proud of the guy. Hershey, Pennsylvania, stand up. You know,
dude, to shush the Inter Milan fans in the Milan Derby in the San Siro as an American brother.
Amazing.
Are you kidding me?
No. Dreams.
Yeah.
Dude, he hit every button combination.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. He did 4 celebrations in 2 seconds.
Just in the crowd, fist pump, bro. That was unbelievably electric.
It's electric.
So sick.
Well, Lucas, I just want to say from all of us at the Mecca of Banter, we appreciate you tuning in. And thanks for inviting us into your world and for being a good sport for the last hour.
Definitely got torched today. Didn't deserve all of it.
Definitely got torched.
For getting a point too. Coming out, it's not like we lost either.
Oh my God, give it up, bro. Give it up.
Dope said this earlier. If you tell me I'm leaving at wherever the hell they play,
Etihad,
the Etihad with a point ever, pretty gassed about that. Pretty feeling okay. So, you know, that's the credit that I'll give you on that.
100%. Well, as always, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. It's been an honor to be on the Mecca of Banter podcast this week. Hit us up on all the social medias. You know, find us there. We got a big game with United Spurs this weekend. There'll be a lot of banter going back and forth, maybe from the Mecca accounts, just with differing opinions. You know.
Yeah.
Until next time, gentlemen. Cheers.
Cheers,
boys.